What do you think you know about Jayden Maiava, the former three-star high school prospect, the transfer from UNLV, a four-star transfer rating, going to USC? You may think that he's a good quarterback. He's a product of the Lincoln Riley system. Sure, he's not as good as a guy like Caleb Williams, but a little bit better than Miller Moss, and he just played fantastic against Michigan. Why are we talking about Jayden Maiava? Well, there's been an idea that I know Josh Pate has said on his show that's been at the back of my mind for at least a month now, talking about how Jayden Maiava is a better fit for the USC offense and Lincoln Riley than Caleb Williams. And initially, you may react to that and say, well, how are we comparing a Heisman winner to Jayden Maiava? No disrespect to Jayden Maiava. He's a good quarterback, but we're talking about one of the best quarterbacks of the 2020s. You're kind of comparing apples to oranges here. And as I've been able to get more access to their 2025 film, I think he's right. I think Jayden Maiava runs this system better than what we saw with Caleb Williams. Now, is Caleb Williams the more talented quarterback? And has he produced more? You're damn right. He is one of the best quarterbacks. But we're talking about Maiava, who plays through the confines of the system at a better rate and runs the offense better. And that will be the core of today's video, is diving into why Jayden Maiava is a better fit for this offense than Caleb Williams. What is it asking for in a quarterback that may step into the system? And what are the areas that are most important in terms of traits for the power spread offense? Now, I will say, if you have been a longtime subscriber of this channel, there is a video out there where I dive into the USC offense, and that is going to be from the perspective of an offensive coordinator. This is now going to be from the perspective of a quarterback and what is being asked from them to execute this offense. But if you like these types of videos or you learned any type of ball, this is going to be the channel for you. Whether it's a like, a comment, a subscribe, anything across the board means the world to me. And if you do feel like you're subscribed, I would go double check. There's a lot of analytics that point to a lot of people watching videos but not clicking that red button. And it would be much appreciated if you gave me an opportunity to give you some more content to talk some more ball with you. To me, there's about 6 traits that this system demands, more specifically in order of prioritization. Now, you could apply this for a lot of different systems, but more specifically with the Lincoln Riley system, this is how I would prioritize the traits from a quarterback that are necessary for production. The number one trait is pocket discipline to me. I think it's essential for internalizing a lot of the protection schemes that are placed within this offense to protect the quarterback and executing a lot of the timing-based progression reads that are throughout this spread offense. And paired with that is the on-time delivery and anticipation. We'll talk about time to throw as a key metric here, but it maximizes the scheme's timing. It'll exploit a lot of the defensive confusion provided from the motion that is throughout this offense, and it helps shield the offensive line from having to drop back for multiple seconds at a time. The next trait would definitely be having the ability to go through full field progressions. This will ensure the tight end and the running back to stay involved. It validates the scheme's design while offering sustainable production. The next trait being the rushing threat from the quarterback. Now, there may be a misconception from a lot of the college football public or just football fans in general that the rushing threat in some of these spread systems is more important. I would more classify it to the frosting to the cake. It's a nice to have. It makes it much better, but the RPOs can still run without the rushing threat. Same can be said with the elite arm talent. We're talking about the deep shots down the field, but honestly, the timing and the accuracy in the intermediate game, I think, is much more important. Now, a lot of the elite arm talent when we're talking about quarterbacks is going to get prioritized when we're talking about the NFL draft, but running this offense specifically, I don't think you need this A-plus arm talent to execute it at a very high level. And lastly, it's the off-schedule improvisation in the scramble drill. The best thing I can classify this as is a cherry on top of an ice cream sundae. I promise you I'm not hungry. It's the best analogy I could think of. When the play breaks down and the scheme isn't running to the highest level, this is a nice cherry on top. We're talking about being able to create plays out of structure, but it's not something that should be prioritized or should be the focal point of an offense, because if that's the focal point, you really aren't running any type of formal scheme and you're not going to have consistent production. And if we were to simplify this video into 30 seconds, we could really just point to the fact that those last 3 traits, the rushing threat, the arm talent, the improvisation, all of those Caleb Williams dominates in. Outside of like Kyler Murray and Johnny Manziel, Caleb Williams probably has some of the best improv skills that I've seen from a quarterback in my entire life. But the problem with that, when we're talking about who runs the system better, who is the better quarterback for this offense, that's not an identity to live by. That's an identity of a player, but not the identity of a system. And we saw that when we were trying to dive into Caleb Williams as a draft prospect. When we're looking at non-screen plays, his time to throw was a high 3.28 seconds. This is approximately 0.5 seconds higher than the standard maximum deviation for a timing offense. This extended time to throw reveals a fundamental operational choice that Caleb Williams was actively avoiding the necessary constraint of structure timing. So a lot of times when they were running the plays that should just get the ball out to the first read, he would hold on to the ball too long. This was one of the biggest downsides of him as a prospect. Sure, we get these beautiful arm angles, the incredible deep shots down the field because of the arm talent, the scramble drills. They were incredible plays. But the biggest weakness, if we go look back at Caleb Williams as a prospect, and as unfortunate as it is, we've seen it when he's a player in the NFL, it is holding the football too long. It is playing outside of structure. It's been one of the biggest friction points with him and Ben Johnson. And honestly, I think it is a great example when we're looking at the NFL and we have Ben Johnson making the transition from Jared Goff to Caleb Williams. Why has that been a huge challenge? It's not to the fact that you think maybe Caleb Williams sucks, maybe he's not as good as that number 1 overall draft pick. I guarantee you, if I were to ask you, who do you think is more talented, Jared Goff or Caleb Williams? A lot of people are going to pick Caleb Williams. Why the Lions offense was so successful is because you had Jared Goff execute the offense exactly how it's written. Every single time that Ben Johnson calls in a play, it's going to get ran exactly how he wants it. Caleb Williams, on the other hand, though more talented than a guy like Jared Goff, isn't used to running an offense exactly how it's ran. He likes to break the rules. He likes to paint outside the lines. And sometimes that works for good and sometimes it works for bad. You have to live with some of those decisions. Very similar when we compare to Caleb Williams back in 2022 and 2023 with USC. When we're looking at Jayden Maiava, he executes this offense at a very high level. And so when you actually put on Jayden Maiava's film, you're going to see a couple of things. A, if you give him a blueprint, he's going to build it exactly how it's written. If you see a picture, it's painted exactly how it's asked. This is a guy that is going to play within the confines of this offense, and you see the efficiency for USC go up in a major way. His archetype at the quarterback position isn't someone that has a plus arm, incredible scramble drill ability, but he has standard good enough traits on that back half of prioritization for this power spread offense that's good enough. He has a little bit of mobility to where you can run a read option, and if you go for the running back, he's going to go be able to make a play. He has just enough of an arm to push the ball vertically with Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, two of some of the best wide receivers that he's had during his time at USC. But you know what he has more than a guy like Caleb Williams is the ability to process a defense at a very high level, make full field read progressions. We're talking about a quarterback that if you ask him to throw the swing pass, he's going to throw the damn swing pass. This is a quarterback that, in my opinion, runs the offense better than Caleb Williams. And you may counter that. And truthfully, I wouldn't be mad at you if you were to tell me that 2022 was an incredible year. We have a Heisman winning quarterback. You know, I wouldn't trade that for anything. And I don't disagree that that was an incredible year. But the value of Jayden Maiava running this offense at a very high level is this: consistency. They have an identity that is sustainable from a week-to-week basis, because you have an incredible offensive mind with Lincoln Riley. I think of what they were able to accomplish this past weekend against Michigan, a blitz-heavy offense, because Wink Martindale is a psychopath when it comes to defensive concepts. Like I can make a video about some of the blitzes that he sends. If you thought Engage 8 wasn't something that was done in football, Wink Martindale disagrees because he runs it on a constant basis. But that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is, because Maiava runs exactly what is called, you get to see Lincoln Riley's coaching be on full display. Some of the schematics and some of the creativity is being really shown, because Caleb Williams, though a very good quarterback, an elite talent, you never really got to see some of the creative plays from Lincoln Riley because you didn't get to consistently see what was supposed to be executed. You saw scramble drills. You saw plays where he's rolling to the right side because the play broke down. He throws it 60 yards down the field for a catch, which is an incredible play, but it's not sustainable. It's not something that could lead to championship level football. I think another great example is what we're seeing with Miami, the difference between Cam Ward and Carson Beck. Cam Ward could extend plays, create incredible offenses, but it's not sustainable from a week-to-week basis. What makes you feel confident about Miami outside of their defensive improvement, I'm not to just say that it's all on the quarterback, but Carson Beck is going to expand what the Shannon Dawson offense is supposed to be versus the creative ability to scramble drill every other play. I think a lot of people see what Patrick Mahomes has been able to do at Kansas City, but what has won them championships is being able to run the Kansas City offense and dink and dunk all the way down the field and run those plays to execution at a very high level. That's the answer to championship level football on the offensive side of the ball. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that USC is a potential national championship contender, but what I am saying is this is the type of offense from USC paired with the defensive improvement that could have them in Big Ten championship discussions, that could excel them into a territory that they haven't been a part of in a very long time. You know, I was someone to write off Lincoln Riley here just 6 months ago based on the progression of where this team was going, where this program was going. But if this is the identity that they're going to have, which is a very sustainable offense with an improving defense, who knows what their ceiling is. So with that in mind, guys, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Let me know. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you understand it? You know, I'm supposed to have this be a discussion because I want this to be a community of just some ball talk. That's all it is. It's no pressure. I don't try to make it super detailed to where I lose the average fan. I want you to understand this at a very simple level. So let me know your thoughts, and I will see you guys next time.